What's up, everybody? It's Women in Trucking Day here on Standing Out. Let's go. What's up, everybody, and happy Tuesday to you. We are here for another episode of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm Trey Griggs of Beta Consulting Group, and we've got a great show for you. I'm so excited for our guest today. But before we get to our guest, I want to just remind you guys that it is Driver Appreciation Month. Last week was Driver Appreciation Week. I'm not sure exactly how that all works out, but we're going to celebrate all month. And in fact, on Standing Out, we're going to celebrate every day. So if you are behind the wheel of a truck moving the goods across the country, first of all, we say thank you. We appreciate you so much. You are the heroes of the supply chain, and we appreciate you. Shout out to our sponsor. Listen, if you are behind the wheel of a truck, you should reach out to TAFS, to the good guys in freight factoring, helping you stay on the road with cash resources, cash flow resources, that is, discounts on fuel and tires, all kinds of other great stuff. So make sure you check them out at TAFS.com or click on the link that Ruth is going to put into the show notes today. That takes you right to my landing page so they know that I sent you, and you can get started with them right away. They are helping drivers become educated on what factoring is all about and providing the resources that are going to be really helpful for maintenance and all the things that you need to keep that truck moving down the road. So check them out at TAFS.com or click on the link in the comments and get started with them today. Also, while you're on the internet browsing after the show, why don't you check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. We are helping companies in transportation tell their stories and build their brand, moving out of the realm of obscurity into becoming a well-known brand with messaging, content creation, social media management, all kinds of great stuff. So we're excited to work with companies. And if that's you, if you're needing a little muscle behind your messaging and your storytelling, reach out to us and let's get started today. We would love that. And don't forget, we got the swag store up and running, and we've got a great coupon code this month because my Kansas City Chiefs are dominating September, except for last week, a little trip up. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and keep the code anyway. So if you go to the swag store at shop.betaconsulting.com, pick up a mug or a water bottle, t-shirt, whatever it is, be a part of our community here and use the coupon code GOCHIEFS. That's going to give you 25% off of your entire order. And we would love for you to take a picture or send us a video once you get your swag and you're wearing it around. We appreciate the support and encouragement. And so thank you so much for supporting small business and being a part of our community by checking out our swag store. All right, hey, we got a great lineup of shows this week. If you missed yesterday's kickoff show, we had an awesome conversation. And today we're going to continue all the great conversations in the entire week. So make sure you catch every episode here on YouTube, LinkedIn Live, Twitter, or Facebook, and you can catch them on demand after the fact as well. All right, let's go ahead and bring on our guest today. I'm super excited to bring her on the show. She is making an impact in our industry in incredible ways and kind of tilting the levers of allowing women to be more part of our industry and recruiting them and telling stories and all kinds of great stuff. She is the founder and CEO of Women in Trucking, and so excited to talk to her today. So please welcome to the show my good friend Ellen Voie.
Thank
Ellen,
you.
what's up? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this. This should be fun.
Oh, absolutely. No, I've been excited about this for a long time. You know, I've been in the industry for about 10 years. I've heard a lot about women in trucking. I haven't participated as much as I should. So all apologies on that. I'm excited to get involved more. I've got 2 daughters of my own, but I'm excited to dig into your story today. Before we do that though, take 30 seconds and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about women in trucking.
So I founded Women in Trucking about 15 years ago. It was March of 2007. And I know you're going to ask me how that happened, so I'm not going to go into that. But basically, it was just an idea I had to create more gender diversity in the industry. And our mission is threefold. It's to encourage the employment of women in the industry, to address obstacles, and finally to celebrate success. And that mission has never changed. So, and we're up to, the first year we added 500 members. We now have about 7,000 members in 10 countries. And that's growing too. I just talked to someone in Europe today. So we're moving ahead.
That is awesome. And yeah, for the young people watching this show today, 2007 was not a great year to start a business, in case you're wondering. I was kind of like the pandemic time, the COVID time, where you're not quite sure what's going to happen, but worse, much worse. Housing crashed, I mean, everything, the whole economy pretty much tanked because of the housing crisis. So it was a tough time for anybody to start a business. A lot of people went out of business, but you decided that was the time to get started, which I'm sure we could dig into that story. But I want to dig into your past a little bit because you've been in transportation for a long time. Now, I'm trying to do the math correctly and I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile and it looks like you've been in the industry for like 38 years, but there's no way that you're not old enough to be in the industry for 38 years. Talk about how you got started as a transportation consultant, how that led to some of the opportunities that you've had with some of the biggest names in the industry.
So, actually, in high school, I wanted to pursue a career in broadcast journalism.
Hey, atta girl, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
there you go. So in high school, I took shop class. I told my mom, I said, I can learn, you can teach me how to cook and clean. I want to know engines. I want to know woodworking. I want to know welding. And so I got a job at a steel fabricating plant and I was drawing material handling equipment, not very exciting. And I was like 18 years old. And then one day they came to me and they said, we want to move you into traffic and we'll send you to school for traffic and transportation management. And so I did. It was a 2-year program. I was the assistant traffic manager, moved into traffic manager position, and I was responsible for all the raw steel coming into our 3 plants and all the finished material handling equipment going out. And it was just before deregulation when the rates were all run by tariffs. So the companies had to charge the same based on the tariff. And
Right.
we had freight that was not easily damaged and it was very heavy. So it was expensive. So everyone loved our freight. And that's how I got my start. And then I got married, 2 kids. And so for 18 years, I did consulting using those skills, reading tariffs, auditing freight bills, even applying for authority. Did that for 18 years. And then I was on the board of Trucker Buddy International. It's a pen pal program. And so I was hired as the executive director, and I did that for 6 years. But I was approached by Schneider National, and they said, we want you to come and we want you to focus on non-traditional groups, meaning returning military, Hispanics, seniors, and women. And so I was the manager of retention and recruiting programs. And I have to tell you, Trey, at the time I was working on my pilot's license and I belonged to a women's aviation organization.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I still have it. I mean, I have it. I have a plane too. So anyway, I thought, well, why isn't there anything for women in the trucking industry? So with the blessings of Schneider, and I was still working there, put together an amazing board of directors, did the paperwork, and we were born in March of 2007. And here we are over 15 years later. Like I said, 7,000 members in 10 countries.
No, it's awesome. And I love just to hear the story because sometimes we take a job and we don't really know what it's going to serve us down the road or what purpose it's going to have. And it's like every job that you took and the consulting time that you did and being at Schneider, it all kind of led to this vision that you had that you acted on. Talk about that for a minute because here's my opinion, Ellen. I think a lot of people have similar types of dreams and visions. They see a problem in the world and they want to solve it, but they maybe don't know how. Maybe they don't have the courage to do that. What was it for you that you said, no, I really want to do this. I'm going to do this. And just the courage and the vision to go do that. Obviously you said the support of Schneider, but there had to be something in your mind where you're like, maybe there's a little doubt, but somehow you overcame that and you started it. Talk about that process.
Well, I'm glad you asked that because when I started Women in Trucking, I went to a friend of mine who had worked for me at Trucker Buddy and I said, I need you to work for me. And I'll pay you well, but I can't pay you for a while. And we would literally write a paycheck and it would be sitting on her desk. And she had 9 months of paychecks sitting on a pile. Luckily, her husband was an owner operator and supported them. But so when I was at Schneider, what happened in 2007? The recession hit. I was manager of retention recruiting programs. They didn't need to recruit or retain. And so one day, 300 of us were let go.
Yeah.
But they gave me a real decent severance package. And I thought, okay, I think it was like 12 weeks or something. And I thought,
you got a little runway.
Exactly. And I said, all right, I told my board, I said, I have 12 weeks to either make or break women in trucking. And I knew because I had to go get a job. And I was kind of weird because I had a job, but I didn't have a salary. So I did a lot of freelance writing. During that time, my undergrad is in journalism. So I did a lot of things in the industry. I worked for Truck Stop as a consultant, truckstop.com. So
Yeah.
made it happen and it hung in there. But it was scary. I mean, I had a daughter in college. And I was worried about paying tuition and on my mortgage, and it was
Yeah.
it was scary.
I think the lesson is there's really never a right time to start something like that. And it is scary. Anybody who says it's not scary is probably not really acknowledging their true feelings. It's exciting, it's exhilarating, but scary is definitely one of those feelings and emotions that's a part of it as well. What was that like, when you had those moments where you're doing side work, you're just trying to keep this thing afloat? Were there ever times where like this isn't going to work? Or was it always a really strong resolve for you? Like, no, this is my purpose, this is my mission in life now, and nothing's going to stop me. How did you approach that when you had those maybe challenging times?
Well, I never felt it wasn't going to work. I always knew that it was going to work. And one thing about me is I'm like a 5 years out kind of person. I'm more of a visionary, not a detailed person. So I kept saying, I'm going to change this industry. I'm going to change this industry. And I was singularly focused on that. And I was gonna make it or break it. And like I said, the first year, the goal was to hit 500 members in a recession, and we hit 500
Yeah.
members in a recession. But Trey, the people who joined put their faith in me as an individual, and I had to prove to them that we were going to walk the walk. And that women in trucking was going to do what we said we were going to do. So that first year was extremely difficult because we had to prove ourselves, make a name, and create a reason to have a women in trucking organization in the trucking industry.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I'm in that place right now with Beta in terms of proving ourselves and finding our place in the world as we think about it like that. So I can appreciate those feelings of what you went through in that time. What are some of the things that you focused on early on, and what are some of the things you're most proud of that Women in Trucking has helped to change so far on this journey?
So one of the things that my board said is people join an association for information. They want you to be a resource. And at the beginning, 15 years ago, nobody had data. We didn't have data on women as drivers, as dispatchers. Companies didn't even know what percentage of their drivers or their CEOs or leadership team was female. They just didn't think about it. In fact, I'd hear over and over again, they'd say, oh, we just hire the best person. We don't care about their age or gender or ethnicity. And then I'd say, well, okay, but why are your uniforms all made for men? And why are the trucks designed for men? Why don't you have restrooms for women? And I, everywhere I go, I'd raise my hand. I don't care if it was a government or an insurance company, whatever. I'd raise my hand. I go, do you have that broken down by gender? And they never did. And so when I
Mm,
attend something and I'd raise my hand, they're like, oh no, Ellen's going to ask us about gender. And so over the years, I think the thing I'm most proud of is that now we're benchmarking. And we just came out with our Women in Trucking Index, and we found that over the road carriers have about 13.7% female drivers. And guess what? It's the mid-sized carriers that are doing a better job. The larger carriers have much smaller percentage. And so we're tracking that. We also track the publicly traded companies because that information is available. And we watch how many of their directors are women and how many women are on their management team. And we still have a long ways to go.
yeah, yeah, definitely a ways to go. I think the last figures that I saw is that truck drivers right now it's about 13% women. Is that accurate? Is that the right number?
13.7%. That's based on our
13.7.
survey. So yeah, I'm very
Okay.
proud of that.
Very good. And then I think in supply chain overall, I think it's around 34, 35 is the last number I think that I heard. So making progress, but there's a lot more opportunity. And I think, when you think about especially like women in trucking and truck drivers in particular, because I know that you focus on more than just drivers, but for truck drivers in particular, it's a lot of that infrastructure that's just really not designed for women to be to thrive in that industry. You think of safety concerns, parking. I mean, it can be dangerous out on the road, and just the different elements that go along with that. How are you guys tackling some of those issues today? Where do you feel like the focus needs to be at this point in the process with women in trucking and what you're doing?
Well, safety is a huge concern, and safety is a reason why women will leave a company if they don't feel that the company cares about their safety. So when I talk to carriers, I'll talk to them about, where are you sending your drivers? Like, what part of town? Is it well lit? Is there security? And is the driver able to turn down a load if they feel like right now we've got a hurricane potentially landing in Florida? If a driver
Right,
says, I
right.
don't want to go into Florida, what what is the response of the company? And then the third part is how well maintained is the equipment, and all those three make up the culture of a company. And it's funny because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of data. Well, now we're getting more and more data that women are safer drivers. Men are 20% more likely to be involved in a crash than female commercial drivers, and that's through the American Transportation Research Institute. We're finding that women are better with customers, better with paperwork, better with the equipment. And here's an interesting one. We're working with ATRI on trying to understand why women are being inspected less at scales. And we think it's because women are choosing safer carriers, but also it could be, the higher standard. Maybe women have a higher standard on what their truck looks like, because that has a big part of whether you get pulled in to get an inspection or not. So, I love all the data that we're getting. We're just digging into it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to think about that, and how that's being processed, and the decisions that are being made as a result of that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we're overlooking when we think about that. I had the chance to go to the Mid America Truck Show in Louisville this past year. Got to go to the Walcott Trucker Jamboree up in Iowa earlier, and I met a woman named Ava who was driving a breast cancer awareness truck, and just talking to her about her experiences out on the road was so eye opening. And she loves what she does. She has a great job. She loves to travel. She loves to see the country, and she loves to help, move freight. And it was just neat to talk to her about how she's overcome some of those challenges and some of the things that she still faces out on the road as well, particularly around safety issues, parking, and those types of things as well. But
Right.
I just don't think that we're as intentional yet as we need to be. And I don't think this is something else too, Ellen. I don't think we're telling very good stories about the women that are out there doing the jobs, especially driving, and letting other women know that this is a great career that they could become a part of, and get involved in. So
Well, we
I'm
actually
excited to
do
see it.
that though, Trey. We have a member of the month. We also have a driver of the year. So we do tell their stories. We also have an image team, one in the United States and one in Canada, and they give ride-alongs. We've given Diane Sawyer a ride-along. We have Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and our legislators and regulators, FMCSA. We recently gave Robin Hutchinson a ride-along
That's
in
awesome.
one of
Yeah.
our trucks. Yeah, so we do try to get our drivers out there in the non-trucking media to tell their stories.
We need more of that. We need a lot more of that. For the ones that you guys are doing, where can people learn more about that? Before I forget, I don't want to forget about it. Where can people learn more about these stories and the things that the educational materials that you guys are providing?
Womenintrucking.org. Pretty simple. You should also know that we have a scholarship foundation, and so that's womenintruckingfoundation.org. And if anyone's looking for tuition money to get a CDL or safety career, or technician, or even in leadership role, womenintruckingfoundation.org or womenintrucking.org.
That's awesome. How many scholarships are you guys handing out? And is it annual, monthly? How does that work?
Twice a year, and we've given out over $100,000 in scholarships. Recently got a huge donation, and so I think the scholarships are still being accepted as of right now. So I would say check it out. And when I said the fourth one is leadership, it's for anyone who's working in the industry who wants to advance their career. We will help you.
That's awesome. I love that. And the one job that often doesn't get mentioned, and you mentioned it, is technicians, and how short we are on technicians. I mean, we're very, very short on diesel technicians moving forward. It's almost as bad as the truck driver situation, shortages in that regard. And those jobs are great jobs as well. Those are jobs where you can be home every night, and you can be a part of what's happening. So I love the fact that you guys are highlighting that and making those scholarships available. And we've got the website there on the screen for anybody to visit and to check out. And you've got a couple of other things on the website that we need to talk about as well. You have a conference coming up in November down in Dallas, Texas. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm so excited. It's the Accelerate Conference and Expo, and we're hoping for 1,500 people. That's my goal this year. Yesterday, we found out that our invitation to FMCSA Administrator Robin Hutchinson, she will be a keynote on Monday. We've got 120 some speakers lined up, and it'll be different tracks. So if you're HR, or maybe the CEO, or maybe a driver, but we also have a lot of fun. We're having a biker night. Not sure what that means. I guess I'll find out when I get there, but it'll be a lot of fun. And it's people come because they want to network. And my board said, "Oh, they want to not work?" I said, "No, no, no, network." But what is so exciting about our conference is that there's an excitement in the air, and it's 85% women. Where can you go to a trucking show, a trucking event that's 85% women? And the excitement and the buzz, and it's more like, instead of at another conference where it's like, oh, woe is me, driver shortage, fuel prices, insurance, things like that. Not at our conference. Our conference is, we're going to change the world, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, but it's not just for women. Men can come as well and participate and be a part of
Absolutely.
it. Who are the type of people that you really think would benefit greatly from this? What types of maybe personas or career type people? What's going to be best for people to attend?
So we get a lot of young women who want to advance their career and learn, not just from other, I'll call them seasoned women who have been in the industry for a number of years, but lots of women who would want to advance their careers in supply chain, because again, the tracks are anything that will apply for women and men. So like, it might be negotiation skills, it might be branding yourself, it might be communication styles. One of my favorites is how to detect fraud, how to tell if someone's lying. And that, it's just fun stuff like that. But you're still learning. So I would say anyone who wants to see more diversity in the trucking industry and wants to know how to do it.
Yeah, and I know, and we talked about this a little bit before we jumped on today, but for me, once I had daughters, it changed my perspective significantly. And now that they're 14 and 12, we're already starting to talk about career. We're talking about college a little bit, and it's like I need to play a better role in advocating for this and making sure that they have opportunities and that women out there have opportunities, and that things change from a structural perspective to make it more viable for that. So I'm excited for what you guys are doing with that. I'm looking forward to that. 1,500 attendees. That's going to be a great show. That's going to be some great energy. And you get 1,500 people at a biker rally. That could be interesting. I don't know. Is Harley coming out and people get to test out a Harley in a parking lot? I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, I don't know how many Harleys we'll have there. I think it's more of a theme kind of thing, but you should see these women. They can party.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. I'm sure it's going to be a great time in Dallas in November. That should be good. Weather should be, hopefully good during that time. So that'll be
Well,
great.
and Trey, I have to say, if they cannot attend in person, we have a virtual conference that'll be in December. So we'll take a lot of the speakers and replay them in December. So if they can't make it in November, there's still an opportunity.
And they can register from your website, from womenintrucking.org, correct?
Absolutely. Womenintrucking.org.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay. Well, we have to take a pause here because we need to talk about what national day it is. Every day is a national day. There's several of them. We've been kind of fascinated by this. So we've been putting one up on the screen every day. Do you know what today's national day is?
No clue.
Well, there's actually two of them, but we're going to stick with one. The one we're going to focus on is it's National Forgiveness Day. And everybody out there, if you got somebody you're holding a grudge against, it's a good time to forgive and do that. So we thought we would just share that one. The other one is National Chocolate Milk Day, which I'm a fan of, but not everybody is a chocolate milk drinker. So we stayed away from that. Everybody could benefit from forgiveness, but maybe not so much from chocolate milk. So we went with that one today. Do you celebrate national days at your house, like National like Mom's Day or National Pancake Day? Do you like those days or no?
Some of them. I would say the ones that are pertinent. I don't know about Pancake Day, but I think, wasn't Daughter's Day just a couple days ago?
Yeah, so actually Thursday last week was, I think it was National Mom's Night Out, so giving moms a night out. And then there was another one there. I can't remember all of them, but it was kind of like, there was definitely a women's theme last week on Thursday. But yeah, there's one every day. I got to go with the pancakes. I'm a pumpkin pancake kind of guy or a chocolate blueberry. So I kind of like, National Pancake Day. I'm a big fan of that. Plus I think IHOP gives them away if you go there. So big fan of that. All right. One more segment that we have. Hang on a second here. One more segment that we have is called the random question of the day. Now, this question is so random, Ellen. I don't even know what it is. I haven't seen it. We let our producer create this every day. So this could be a good question. It could be a really bad question. It could be a funny question. It could be a serious question. I don't know. So let's go ahead and throw it up on the screen. The random question of the day today is, what do you look up to the most? Or I'm sorry, who do you look up to the most? And what qualifies or what? Gosh, I can't read today. Let's try this again. Who do you look up to the most and what qualities do you love about that person? It was kind of a serious question today. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of a serious question. And I'm going to give you the most common answer. And I would have to say my mom, because my mom told me that I could do anything. I mean, that's why I took shop class, and she said, "You go, girl." I was in high school sports. She passed away when I was 19. So she's been gone a long time, but she gave me that that extra sense of confidence
Yeah.
to go. And also, I think maybe because she did die so young, she was 46. I think
Mhm.
that also made me kind of fast forward in life and say, you know
Mhm.
what, I'm going to do as much as I can in such a short time, because who knows how many days you have on this earth. So she taught me a couple things, but I'm using my mom as the example. So
Yeah, no, that's a great one. And isn't that what our parents are supposed to do and we as parents are supposed to do, let our kids know that they can chase those dreams. I think here's one thing that I think happens too much, and kudos to your mom by the way for that. But I think what happens too much as parents is we want our kids to be steady, secure, and stable. So we try to push in that direction to find a stable job, a steady job. But man, when you're 19, 20, 21, 22, that's the time to take a risk and chase your dreams. There's never a better time. I can tell you this, as married and as a parent, it's hard to chase your dreams when you get older. It's a lot easier when you're younger. And so kudos to your mom for pushing you in that direction. And as far as her dying so young, my dad passed away at 60, so a little bit later in life. I was 26 when he passed away. But it is the same kind of thing. Like, you know what? We're not promised tomorrow. We don't know when the sand's going to run out. So today we better make today count in some way or another, because it may be the last one. It kind of sounds morbid, but it's just true. There's
you
just
know,
so much truth in it.
I think you're right. I think it kind of changes you, because when a parent dies young, you look at life a little differently and go, I got to grab this bull by the horn and just get everything I can out of life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's great. I think for me, the people that I would say I look up to the most are the people who have achieved some level of success, but are always looking to help someone else get there. I think when you achieve success in life, you really have two options. You can either celebrate it and kind of look inwardly, or you can look outwardly. And I admire the most the people who are servant leaders who look outwardly to try to help other people. I've had many people in my life who have been that way for me, going all the way back to high school. My high school basketball coach and golf coach, my college basketball coach, some leaders along the way, some friends that I have now in the industry that are taking time out of their day to help me become a better leader and a better person, or just to check in on me and be a friend. And so for me, the people I admire the most are the people who are looking to help other people, especially the ones that achieve success, because sometimes success can kind of spoil you, or taint that a little bit. So the ones that have achieved success have been to the top of the mountain, but are looking down to see who they can help up. That's who I admire the most, is the servant leaders out there. So that's my answer today. But no one in particular, unfortunately. I mean, a lot of people in particular, but I won't list them all off here to say. All right, so let's talk about the future. You're 15 years into Women in Trucking. What's the next 5 to 10 years? You said you're a visionary and you have, long-term goals. What's the next 5 to 10 years look like for women in trucking?
Well, to be honest with you, I have announced my retirement. So I'm retiring next year.
Oh,
And
you have. Okay. I'm sorry I missed that. All
no,
right.
that's okay. And so the board of directors has been doing a CEO search, and we've narrowed it down to like about 9 candidates. It's kind of exciting because I'll be able to work with the new person and then hand over the reins and spend more
Yeah,
time
yeah.
flying my airplane.
Well, I see that excites me because one day I want to have my pilot's license as well. I love to fly. What kind of plane do you fly? What do you have?
I have a Cessna Skyhawk,
Okay. Is that a
four
two
seater,
doors, four seater? Okay. All
two
right.
doors,
Yeah.
four seater. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Is it big enough that you can put your golf clubs in there if you're flying somewhere to play golf? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely, yeah.
See, that's what
It's
matters.
four-seater, so I've actually had 5 in there at once, so yeah,
Oh, that is awesome. Where do you like to fly to? So you're flying out of central Wisconsin, I think, somewhere
correct.
in there, right? And where do
Well
you like to fly to?
well, in Wisconsin, we have something called the Flying Hamburger Social in the summer, so on
Okay.
Wednesdays, all the little airports host a fly-in, and so you go in and you just kinda do hangar
Oh,
talk,
that's fun.
and put a donation in and everybody eats, and it's just so much fun to meet up with people. So on Wednesday afternoons, my calendar is clear because I'm flying to little airports.
Man, I'm living my life wrong. That sounds great. That sounds like an awesome time. Did you fly down to Nashville for McLeod on your plane, or did you
No,
do
I'm
the
visual flight
commercial?
rules. So
Okay.
if we have fog or rain or anything like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
sitting there. So no,
Yeah, got it. That makes sense. That's still cool though. That's awesome. I love aviation just in general, and what you're doing there. One day I will have a pilot's license. That's on the bucket list. I will
you
get to
need to
that
do
for
it.
sure. That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, Ellen, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate your time and getting to hear your story. I hope you come back and see us again soon. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you down at the Accelerate conference in November.
Oh, I hope you do too. And by the way, you said that you were at the Mid America Trucking Show.
Hmm.
We will be there. We do our annual salute to women behind the wheel. And
Oh,
next year,
nice.
I'm giving away the keys to a truck. We're giving away a truck.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, I've got to be around for that in some way. That's going to be cool to see. So next year at Matt's, which I think is in May or April, somewhere in there, you're going to be
In
giving away
March.
the keys to
Yes.
a truck. Late March. Okay, cool. No, that's it's coming up soon too. It's like 6 months away. So be here before we know it. That's for sure. Well, everybody who's watching, thanks so much for being a part of the show today. Make sure you come back tomorrow for another episode of Standing Out. We've got Kyle Mlocker on the show from Fox Logistics. It's going to be a great show. And tune in every day, 10:30 a.m. Central, for Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Ellen, thanks so much for being on the show. I enjoyed it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Trey.